Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our first episode of the Growth Lab. This is WBDC's brand new advisory series where real entrepreneurs bring their real life challenges to a panel of expert advisors to provide honest strategy and actionable advice live and in real time for all of you. So, if this is your first time engaging with WBDC, here's a little bit about us. WBDC's mission is to support and accelerate business development and growth, targeting women and serving all business owners to strengthen their participation in and impact on the economy. So, our organization offers a variety of services to business owners, including one-on-one advising, cohort programming, and business education opportunities. My name is Ashley, and I'm the Associate Director of Entrepreneur Programs and Services at WBDC, and I'm also really excited to be your facilitator today. So, without further ado, I would love to introduce our panel of expert advisors. We will allow each of them to introduce themselves, starting with Kinga, and then Mora, and finally Regina.
Hello, everybody. I'm Kinga Kosmala. I'm the Director of Entrepreneurial Business Programs and Services here at the WBDC.
Hello, everyone. I am Maura Downs. I am the Chief Program Officer here at the WBDC. I'm very happy to be here with all of you today.
Hello, everybody. I had to take my self off of mute, but I'm Regina Williams. I am Director of Entrepreneurial Program and Services, Division 2, here at the WBDC.
Awesome, thank you. So now I'd like to introduce a WBDC client and our first featured founder on the Growth Lab, Pauline McKinney. Pauline is going to tell us a little bit about her business and the current challenge that she's facing as a founder. So I'll let you take it from here.
Okay, thank you for having me. This is so exciting. It's exciting to be the first one too. It's like a little bit like scary, but I'm excited to be here. A little bit about me. I pretty much grew up and spent my whole professional career in corporate, and I've always been into technology. And I like to tell people that I was into data before it was hot. It was like emerging, and people were like, well, there's this thing called data, like see if you can do anything with it. It was before it was like really a thing. And I loved it. I just loved how much potential it had to help companies. And I really feel like I grew up along with data in my career. And as it took this like really pivotal turn into this huge thing that everybody in the corporate world talks about and desires and wants. And so I became like this really like, master of all in the data world. I had been there, done that. And I kind of felt like a cog in a wheel. And I decided to leave my job because I was like, there's so much power in information and in data. And I want to take that and I want to bring that to small businesses. I really want to empower small businesses, especially women, because I feel like we have so much intuition and we doubt ourselves a lot. So I've really been focused on that. And I've had my small business for 2 years. I'm going on my third year. And I've really struggled to talk about my work. So where I am now is I've got a handful of clients, and they're really mostly in my network because they trust me as a person. So they're like, I trust you. I know you. Here's my information. I don't know what you do, but I'm going to just trust you and you're going to come back to me. And I come back with insights and ideas for their business, and they get really excited and we keep working together. So I know there's value there because they keep repeating and there's like projects that keep coming to me, and it really lights us both up to realize how far along they are. But I don't know how to take what I've done and what I know and package that, because I feel like when you spend 20 years doing something, you're like, I can do anything. I can help you with anything. And so I don't know how to package it up into offerings that people will be like, yes, I need that. Yes, I want that. So that's why I'm here today. So thank you for the invitation. I'm excited to hear what you guys have to tell me.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being so candid, Pauline. I think we really appreciate the transparency that you're bringing today and know that you are most likely not alone in facing some of these challenges as a business owner. So I'm going to let you, can you introduce our first question for the advisor panel? So advisors, you'll each have an opportunity to ask clarifying questions and provide your feedback. So I will allow Pauline to introduce that first question, and then we'll start off with Maura.
Okay, great. So my first question is, um, how would you recommend I approach and think about packaging my work in a way that resonates with the small business community, especially women?
I am so excited to go first because I have an answer to this question, but my colleagues are also very smart. I didn't want them because they're probably going to say something similar. So, um, what I would suggest, because I've worked with other clients that have this challenge that it's like, it's very hard to make what you do feel tangible. So, what I would challenge you to do is to talk about it in a way where you are positioning yourself as the solution to a problem they have. So, instead of talking like, I'm sure, Pauline, you would never do this, but some people I've met out there on the road, I meet them, I say, what do they do? And they just go on and on and on. And it's just like I lose interest. And I'm not really even their target client, but so I would suggest, and I'll try to put this, I'm not a data expert, but I would put this to you as how do you have the problem where you have multiple data streams and they're not connecting and talking to each other? Is that a problem that your business faces? If so, my company is the solution to that problem. And I can be the thing that you need to make your company work together better and have data that's meaningful. And I'm spitballing, but I would position yourself as a solution to their problem. And hopefully you are accomplished and smart so you can have listened to what they've said about their businesses and hopefully gotten some of their challenges out of them and then positioned yourself able to quickly think, okay, here is how I could solve a problem that they have. They don't really care about all of the capacity of your company. They just don't. They care about what can Pauline do that will make my day-to-day life easier. That's the end of my question. And I actually I'll just say, I have someone that I invited onto the call today who I have given the exact same advice to. Because I think this, and I say that to say that I think this is a common challenge that businesses in your position face.
Hmm. Yeah, I would agree with that more. I think a lot of clients struggle with that and solution framing, right, for your
Right.
customers. Thank
Okay.
you. All right, we're going to move on to Regina.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Maura kind of, took my sunshine there just a
That's
little
why I
bit.
wanted
She
to go
gave
first.
she gave you basically the same answer that I would give, but I would also say that it is important to know who you're speaking to, so that because you know what you do, you know the ins and outs, and you thoroughly understand it, then that allows you to have some room to get to know whoever it is that you're speaking to in any small, minute kind of way, if that makes sense. So in any situation that you're in, you're able to assess what it is that this person needs. You can ask them, of course, and they can maybe say, but they don't quite know, again, what you do. So I would say something like, hey, after talking with someone, I do the boring stuff. The stuff that we all don't want to do, to help you basically make decisions that are informed. Stop guessing about what decision or what the answer is to a decision or a problem that you have. Stop guessing, because the data will show you what to do, and I'm the person that puts all of that together behind the scenes. And I know I just said a lot of kind of disjointed things, but any variation of that phrase, for example, is sort of what you want to do, because not only does no one really care about all of the little intricacies of what it is that you do, we are often scared away from, because we can't understand data. We don't know what that means, so we often just kind of push that to the side. So there's a number of approaches that you can take to get to know what that person's challenge is and make it easy for them to get the results that you know that they can get.
Thank
That's
you,
the end. I'm
Regina.
sorry.
Yeah, and now we'll pass it over to Kinga.
Okay, thank you. My colleagues have basically said everything, so and I very much agree with everything that they said. I would I'll add two actually small things. So one is I would start with their pain and not your skills, right? So, like small business owners are most often very, very busy people. They want fewer surprises. They want confidence in their decisions. They want their time back. They want predictable sources of income. So I would say that if your explanation on what you do doesn't sound like something they have complained about before, right? It won't land. So if anyone in this crowd has taken our Road to Success bootcamp or cohort, you must have heard us, repeating it ad nauseum, the formula for the pitch that we recommend to our clients. So the formula is very simple. It's actually three elements, right? So how, this is where you present the problem. This is how you present the solution to the problem so that the problem doesn't exist, right? So it has three elements. How, so that. So maybe what you can come up with is something similar. And I would suggest saying, I help the type of business, right? Answer questions like, and these are the questions, so that they can, right? So again, like kind of there's three elements in your very simple explanation. I help, answer questions like, here is the question, so that they can, right? And here's the new skill, new ability, the pain point relieved, if I could say that. So that's all from me.
Thank you, Kinga. Yeah, we can move on to our next question.
Can I just react to that
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think it will follow like my next question.
Sure.
I am totally with you guys. I totally agree with all of that. I think that I have done a lot of that. I mean, I've been to so many networking events where I change my pitch every person I talk to, and I'm like using different words and I'm trying things. And for me, I've done cold pitching, I have done networking, I have done referrals, I have done a lot of different things, and I've tested a lot and I've fumbled a lot. And what I'm realizing is that small business owners are busy. They also don't have a lot of like capacity to risk spending something like that they aren't sure what they're getting. And for me, it's like when I talk about how, I do data and I can help them get clarity, it's like, oh, that's nice. That's cool. But like, I feel like what I'm doing now is working when they're really just really outworking uncertainty. They're like hustling and it's like the grind. So then when I get into their data and I'm like, okay, let's see what your data is showing you. A lot of times they're so much farther along than they thought they were. They're doing so much better than they thought they were. And it's almost like an exhalation of like, oh, wow, like I didn't realize it was like, I'm actually doing pretty good and I can like relax a little bit. So for me, it's almost like the barrier that I have to keep crossing is this idea of like, well, everything's fine. I'm just working really hard and I'm outworking my uncertainty. And I don't know how to sell like, hey, I can help you relax and like show you exactly what's working and what isn't working. Because they're like, I don't have money for that. Because data sounds expensive.
What you just said is so compelling.
Yeah.
Is
They're
that
like
not?
a stranger.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
I'm sorry, I
Go
don't want to
ahead.
drag this on for too long.
Yeah.
Can you?
Yeah.
Okay. But I do have a response to that, Pauline. I mean, I think one thing that you said, of course, was that small businesses maybe don't have the financial capacity to maybe afford your services. I think there's a lot to be said, and this might run into some of the other questions, so forgive me. But I think it's important to get yourself out there in terms of speaking on panels, making sure that you're the expert, and perhaps you've already done that, but maybe you need to do some more because you need to be the go-to person for data. And I think that you have to work on, or data analysis. I think you need to work on making sure you're that expert so that then when you do speak with customers, you can give examples briefly. Maybe I've worked with this company, that company, this company, whatever, or a number of small businesses in the Chicago area, some way to convince me that I need to have another conversation with you. Now, we're getting into the sales part of it, but you want to get that person to have another conversation with you so that you can take some of what they're working with and show them what you can do with that information. And hopefully it's just something amazing. At the end of the day, it's always about how can I generate more revenue? So show people how they can make more money with the data that you're analyzing.
That's such good advice.
Yeah, that's really great. Yeah, so that leads me to my next question, which is perfect, which is like, where would you recommend I go to find the people that need my work? I like what you said about, joining panels and getting myself out there. Where would I start and where would I go to learn more about how I can find people and how they can find me, especially when I have like serious imposter syndrome?
Oh,
Oh,
that's a different layer, Pauline.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, and I'm sorry, I'm going to jump in if that's okay. I think that one, you do need to work on, and maybe just standing in the mirror, or talking with a friend or someone who can look at how you're pitching or how you're talking about your business in ways that make you come off as though you're way more confident than you might be. The imposter syndrome will eventually go away as you get more and more clients and more people to commit to working with you, because they're going to also spread the word about this person that I work with that showed me something about my data. And at the end of the day, it helped me get X amount more customers or X amount more dollars. And then that imposter syndrome starts to kind of go away because now you have proof of concept and you can use that to then put back out there and continue to get more clients. I think that that's one way to overcome that imposter syndrome. I had another. I'll wait to put some other
yeah, that was
information out
another.
there.
No, no, no. You can't just say all the good ideas.
Right. I'll shut up now.
Wait, can I go, Ashley? Okay. Um, something that I was just thinking about, and you might tell me no, but I know you're focused on small businesses. May, what you're talking about in terms of data is something that every business has a problem with, or a challenge, or an opportunity with. I would consider niching down into, I focus on small businesses that do X. And then going, and when you're saying I'm going to look for those businesses, going to conferences where those businesses are and showing up year after year after year. And my clients that I've worked with have said that those networking opportunities do lead to contracts, but it takes time. So that's one kind of idea. Another thing that kind of dovetails on what Regina was saying about positioning yourself as the expert. And my colleagues, I'm like going to watch their faces as I say this because they might think this is a terrible idea, in which case I hope they tell me. Um, I think TikTok. Start making little videos, sideways videos of you talking about what it is you do and positioning yourself as, I am the expert. Did you know? I mean, you can, and the way I would start this is go on TikTok and find out who's talking about data on TikTok and see what they're doing and just do the same thing. It's like, and then find a way to innovate it. That's not an option for everybody, but I just wanted to put that out in the mix. My colleagues hate me so much because I love telling people to go on TikTok. But I spend a lot of time watching it. Um, and I see a lot of people on there positioning themselves as experts. I'm done.
Yeah, just call yourself an expert, Pauline.
Yeah,
You're an expert. There it is.
Yeah,
Can
exactly.
I say something?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay,
Great.
so Pauline, you already said that people work with you because they already trust you, right? So there's value to it, right? And now, calling yourself an expert, that will, help kind of see help them see you as someone whose work just makes sense, right? Because you offer clarity, you offer confidence, you offer relief to their pain points, which I mentioned at the very beginning. So just the message has to be strong, just like Maura was saying a minute ago. And TikTok is just one of the platforms, right? It doesn't have to be TikTok; it can be Instagram or whatever, whichever you feel good about. But just positioning yourself, just like my colleagues were saying, is someone who offers those things: clarity, confidence, relief, help, revenue increased. And you are the expert, right? They already trust you, right? And then there's not like a certain number of people, who will trust you. And then after that number, you can call yourself an expert. You already are an expert. That's all.
Okay, wow, that feels amazing because I have been telling myself like, where do you get the audacity? You're not an expert because I think that I'm so used to being in the corporate world where it's really credentialed and you have to have like authority, like you have to have almost been given like authority by others. And I feel like, well, who am I? Even though I have insane experience and knowledge and wisdom, I think that I feel a lot of hesitation because my offerings they've really evolved over time. At first, when I started, they were very traditional corporate offerings. And I was like, this is not working. Nobody wants traditional corporate offerings. And so they've really evolved into like, hey, women business owners are super intuitive. They have a knack for knowing what's going well and what isn't. So I don't need to give them that like baseline. They have that. I need to use their data to show them that what they're doing is working or change their limiting belief that it's not working. So I think you're right. Like I do need to get out there, but when I think about getting out there, my work is so controversial in the sense that in the corporate world, intuition is really villainized. And I feel like in the small business world, logic and analysis is sort of like, we'll do that later. And I really love blending the two, but I feel hesitation because I'm like, what if nobody likes my work because it's so different?
No, can I say something? I don't know if we are going like, is that okay,
Yeah,
Ashley?
yeah.
Yeah, okay. So so I very much get, like what you're saying about being credentialed. I actually come from the academic world where you have to be credentialed to even like say one sentence at a conference, right? But the business owners that you are working with are just like you said, those people they already know their audience, right? They are already know their target market. They know what they're doing, and showing them that yes, it is good, but I'll show you, where you're leaking, something where, like I'm gonna get you help. I'm going to help you with clear answers, right? The numbers are going to tell you the real story, the clear answer that you need, right? So instead of saying data and analytics, you can say, oh, I'm going to help you get clear answers, right? Your numbers are telling you already, right? What the numbers are telling you. So I would really, like, yes, the corporate world and the academic world, in my case, are very different worlds, right? The small business world, these are people who know what they're doing. They know their product or their service, and this is what they offer. So I'm so sorry. So this is what I would do.
Great. Thank you guys. Yeah, I think that's a good flow into the next question if you want to present that, Pauline.
Yeah, I mean, we're almost tackling them as we're talking and dialoguing, but yeah, I think the next one would have been where do you recommend I go to find people? I think you guys addressed that. And how would you recommend I talk about my work if you have any other ideas? I like this idea of not talking about data and analytics. I've been in the world for so long that that's how I know it. But if you have other words that I can use, I would love that just from a person who's not in this world.
These are not the KPIs, but the few numbers that actually matter for your business, right? So that kind of stuff. So just translating them, right? Because I think there's a lot of like to be said about translation of the, dry, theoretical words like, oh, data and analytics, instead of translating them into the everyday language that small business owners use every day.
Yeah, I also would like to add, Pauline, if you really broke it down, and depending on the time that you have to pitch your business, for example, you might want to say to somebody like, help you on how many customers do you have, and I can help you with knowing your customer and how to leverage that customer count to make you more money. So something like that, where you're giving them an example of how the data can be used, because data is so massive in terms of what you're measuring at any given time. Maybe you narrow that idea down just enough to where the person can kind of understand, oh, this is what you mean by data, and this is what you mean by analyzing that data, and this is what the result is after analyzing the data. So people can get excited about how what you do applies to their business.
That is such good advice, Regina. And I will just tag on to that, which is, I think I just everything Regina said, and then uh, listen to them and like get them started talking about their data and then figure out the words they use. when I work with clients, like on certain, like I learn, like, okay, I gotta just figure out the words they use because I'll say something to a client like, okay, well, a contract, blah, 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 blah. And then they're like, I don't have contracts, I have purchase orders, or, they have a different way of saying that thing. And once you start speaking their language, it resonates. And so that's your challenge. And I think well, I won't because I'll stop talking because I'm going to jump ahead to the another question. But it's a huge challenge. So I don't want to discount that, but definitely listen to how they're talking about how their data works. Because I think for every company, it's different and they all have, here at the WBDC, we have a lot of data and a lot of systems and we use acronyms to talk about it. So I could totally understand how that's really hard for you.
Great. Yeah, Pauline, any reactions?
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is really clarifying. It's really helpful for me, just to hear. I've got all these ideas kind of streaming into my brain now about like how to break it down. I think for me, it was almost like a feeling of, um, I know how to talk about it one on one, and I can usually adapt, and it almost feels like I can figure that out. But then when I go out into a new place, I don't know what to say and I don't know what to do. And I don't know how to scale it into a bigger audience. And I almost need to just sit down and like write down
Exactly.
exactly what the conversations are that I have. I mean, I know who I'm looking for. I want to find women-owned businesses. I want revenue between 250K and 500K a year. That's where I want to start. I think that's my sweet spot because they're usually so busy but messy and they need help like streamlining and organizing. So I know who I want to target. I just never know like where to go because it's like studios and like service companies and it's so different and varied. So I think maybe I just need to be open to going to a conference or like meeting another person outside of my local neighborhood.
Pauline,
Yeah,
when
I
you
mean,
look at the businesses that are your clients, is there any consistency around what industries they serve, what industries they're in?
They're all women, well, almost all women.
Okay.
I have one male. They're service companies, schools, studios, things like that. So a
What
lot of
kind of,
schools,
I guess I don't know,
yeah.
like, what do you mean
Well,
by studios?
dance studio, uh,
Oh, cool.
marketing studio. So they're schools, they're like teaching, and they pull really good numbers. They're just a lot of times not all in one place. So they need help organizing it, telling a story for funding or for strategy sessions or understanding what isn't working in their business.
I mean, uh, again, I'm going to say this again because I feel this very strongly that like you need to like find a niche. And so it doesn't have to be dance companies, but let's talk about dance companies. And how many dance companies are there? Like small little dance studios in Chicagoland. Like you just think about those and then target those and figure out like how do I find them? How do I just like make a list? And I mean, I'm just again spitballing, but like let me find all the dance companies in Chicago and I'm going to drop in and visit them. And I'm gonna like, something like that where you're really, really focused on one industry. And then it's so much easier to talk about what you do because you can talk about, I had a different dance company that I did, you know, what you just described, which I'm probably not going to spit back to you correctly, but talk about exactly what you did for that dance company. I don't know.
I,
That's what I'm
I mean,
feeling.
I'm going to add just a little bit more, and I think Carolyn had mentioned this in the chat. How are you defining small business? I mean, when you say 250 to 500, that gives us a better idea of exactly or a better idea of who you're targeting, right? But also, in addition to what Maura was saying, I think it is important to niche down your business. But we do know that you can niche down in terms of industry, which is a great idea. But there's also other ways to niche down. Like you mentioned, women. Okay, well, who are these women? Where are these women? Are they in a community specific to, maybe where you work or, any way that you can, like Maura has said, niche down your business. Find out, who is most likely to want or need your services in that 200 to 500,000 range, and be sure to find what is the most lucrative niche in your area. I'm going to always be the one to talk about the revenue because at the end of the day, that's what you're trying to generate. We can talk through clients, we can talk through the type of clients we have, we can talk through how you talk about your business, etc. It all needs to somehow contribute to your intake of revenue and increasing that. So that's really the perspective that I like to take. And I want to say, Pauline, please script all the things that you feel you are not prepared to talk about and just run that script over and over again to the point that you know exactly what to say. Because scripting, although we think of it as an old format in terms of sales, it is currently being used today. And I try to talk with clients about script out those things that you don't know what to say. And that way you can at least revert back to the script if you lose yourself, and have something to help you out.
Yeah, I love these ideas.
Great. I think we have one more question left, right?
Let me look. I mean, I feel like we got through
If
them.
we covered all our bases, great. We can move into the next section. So this is our rapid fire advice section. So I'm going to ask each of our advisors to respond to the prompt. One move that I would make tomorrow for your business is, and whoever wants to jump in with their move, please do.
Okay,
I,
I'll jump in. The one thing I would do, or the one move I would make tomorrow, is to completely, as much as possible, specifically define who your audience is, who's your target market, who's your person. Make an avatar, show what they look like, where they live, who they are, all of the things that you need to know to even have conversations with them. Because see, you're going to come to a conversation knowing a little bit about them because you've already described who your target is. So that way it makes it just a little bit easier to speak the language that they speak.
and kind of continuing with the language, I would simplify the language that I use with small business owners, just like we talked about, less theory, more practical, very kind of down to earth advice. This is what you do with your numbers, and this is how your numbers help you.
I would. I'm sorry, I'm trying to think if I'm going to say it. I would start going on some form of social media tomorrow, positioning yourself as an expert.
Amazing. Well, thank you all for sharing the moves that you would make tomorrow. So yeah, Pauline, I will let you close out. Can you share any key takeaways or reflections from today's session?
Oh my gosh, there have been so many. Thank you, ladies. Simplify the way I talk to people and how I talk about my work to just get out there and just start like niching down, understanding who it's. I almost feel like I'm dating, but I'm like open to everybody. So I really need to think about who I really want to date because right now it's like, oh, I'll take you. Okay, sure. And I really need to niche down and positioning myself. I think key is positioning myself as an expert and having the audacity to talk about myself and my work as an expert. Like I really do have a lot of value I can bring to people and I just need to own that.
I love the reframing of audacity, like having that, kind of like boost your confidence. I love that. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Pauline. I really look forward to following up with you in the coming months to see how you put these recommendations in motion. And I really appreciate our advisors. We've heard such great advice today about the importance of knowing your market and how to talk to them and really understanding who your target customer is. So I think that really ends up shaping the vision for your business and the message that your business wants to communicate and overall how to connect with the right people. So to close out, thank you all for joining us today. If this challenge that Pauline has shared with us resonates with you and your business and you'd like to discuss it with one of our advisors one-on-one, you can book an advising session through our website at wbdc.org. And we also kindly ask you to please fill out our intake form, which the link is in the chat. I will also be sending a follow-up email with the link if you're unable to find it in the chat. But again,
Just put it
thank
in a
you.
second time. We really
Right.
appreciate the intake form.
Yes, we do.
Can I say
So,
one thing, Ashley? I'm sorry, before
yes,
we end,
absolutely.
one last thing.
Sure.
Pauline, this is what you do whenever you're on a seminar, a call, you're speaking on a panel, whatever it is. You want to make sure that you say, hey, anybody who needs any sort of data analysis or any sort of information analyzed to make more money, please give me a call. Or reach out to me on my website. Pauline, give your first name, last name, and how to get in touch with you. Mostly it's email, but put that out there so people on the call can engage with you if they need to.
Oh my
Mhm.
gosh,
Great
you're so
advice.
right. If anybody needs help with getting clear on their data, getting
Pauline,
clear
someone
with
asked for
how
your
to-
website in the
yeah,
chat. Ashley gave it to them.
thank
Amazing.
you. Yeah, bethedatahero.com. Thank
Yeah.
you, Gina. That was such a good reminder.
Pauline makes you money.
Now, our marketing team made sure I had a call to action at the end of this presentation. So that's such good advice, Regina. Thank you for bringing that up. But well, thank you again to our panel of advisors for sharing your expertise today. And thank you so much, Pauline, for being vulnerable with us about your business challenges. I hope that everyone enjoyed our first session of the Growth Lab, and we hope to see you at the next one. So with that, have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you, Pauline.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everybody.
everyone.
This was amazing.
Thank you.